Reports say angry youths in Kano staged protest on Monday following President Muhammadu Buhari's official visit to the state. The youths who were carrying sticks were reportedly throwing stones at President Buhari's helicopter and were dispersed by security agents who fired shots in the air to scare them away. This was just as the president compared the situation in Nigeria with that of other countries and concluded that the country's condition is not as bad as been portrayed by some people. The People's Democratic Party has subsequently said it condemned the incident in its entirety. Now, joining us to discuss this incident are Bala Ibrahim, Director of Publicity, APC, and Kato, spokesperson of the Obidati Presidential Campaign Council. Good afternoon and welcome to Newsday.
Good afternoon, thank you.
Well, Mr. Ibrahim, how is the APC interpreting what happened in Kano yesterday when angry youth threw stones at the president's helicopter?
Well, as a party, the APC sees what happened as a mischief action orchestrated by the opposition PDP. And the party is happy that Nigerians have now been given the opportunity to see the kind of mischief or monkey trick that the opposition PDP can do. Kano is a very politically polished society. Kano is an advanced society in politics, and the people are so polished, the people are so politically conscious that even if they want to vent their anger on leaders, they do so with decorum. They will not, and I repeat, they will not, under whatever guise, stone a president, regardless of their political anger or regardless of their political leaning. But be that as it is, the PDP is the biggest suspect. In fact, it has said so in advance that things like this will happen. What happened in Katsina before Kano was a test of the kind of things they want to do, and they did so. What they have done stands condemned, and I'm happy. People have seen the PDP that orchestrated that attack is the one that is crying on behalf of the bereaved. Before the APC could say anything, the PDP had released a statement saying they condemn what happened. How can you condemn an attack on someone without getting the reaction of the person that was attacked? So people are not worried, and we expect more to happen. But at the end of the day, on the day of the ballot, the facts will show itself, and people will see that Kano is politically supportive of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Well, thank you for that. Ndi, I'm going to come to you and throw the same question at you. How would you interpret the unfortunate events that unfolded and how it's going to be affecting what's the election cycle and, of course, the APC?
As a Nigerian, I can't support such an action. It's totally condemnable. Another angle to it was seeing a lot of those young children, who should have been up to something more productive, but involved in this level of violence, tells us the state of the nation we are in today. And it's really, really sad to see hundreds of children, looks like thousands even of children in that crowd. And it was really, really, that was what struck me. It's condemnable. That is the president of Nigeria. We cannot sit back and watch the commander-in-chief being treated like that. That said, it's also to point out to, the governor of Kano State, Ganduje, telling Buhari not quite some time ago that he cannot guarantee his safety in Kano State, and drawing a straight line from that to this. The two major, the two older parties, I would say, the two older parties that we're used to have unleashed violence in this election season onto a certain scale. And now that it's beginning to touch the president, everybody's beginning to speak about it and beginning to say, we don't like to see this. But this violence has touched so many Nigerians in this election season. We've had Nigerians killed in this election season, and we've not seen so much done about it. And so we're hoping that, as Labour Party, we're hoping that, especially as being victims of this violence, we have lost quite a number of people. A candidate in Imo State and the woman leader in Kaura local government of Kaduna, in southern Kaduna, in Kaduna State. And to see that happen and not much investigation happening, no much conversation around electoral violence happening, especially by the powers that be and state actors, is quite sad. So hopefully now that it has happened to the Nigerian president, we will have an honest conversation around electoral violence in this election season. It is indeed sad, it is indeed condemnable, and we would really ask the APC to do some introspection with this. You know, having this kind of threats, having the kind of statements spoken against the president, we expect that in an election cycle that indeed the president will be will not take sides and will push towards a free and fair election. And having statements said against him because it looks like that is what is going to happen is quite something. I'm quite shocked, to be honest, that I have to be here and speak for the president, but that speaks to the sovereignty of Nigeria. Nigeria's sovereignty is one, and this is our commander-in-chief we're talking about. This should not be allowed. We should check those who made statements about this prior to this happening. APC should indeed look inwards.
Well, Mr. Ibrahim, I'm so happy that you're here listening to what Kato just said, because I'm very curious as to how you arrived at the PDP being responsible for what happened in Kano. Like you earlier noted, something similar like that happened in Katsina State. Was that also the handiwork of the PDP? Apart from that, a number of presidential candidates have been attacked on the campaign trail. We know that Atiku Abubakar's team was attacked when he went to Borno State last year. We know that Peter Obi's team has also been attacked in Katsina State. We've had a number of such attacks. Are you also saying that the PDP is behind this? What about the fact that some youths in the country are complaining about hardship? There's so much hardship. Even the president acknowledged it, even though he said he's doing his best and it's not as bad as it's been portrayed. So how come everything happens to be a case of it's the APC versus the PDP? Isn't it actually time, like Indicator suggested, that maybe the APC should look inwards and actually see how Nigerians are feeling and stop playing politics with everything?
Well, thank you very much. As the party in power and as the party under the leadership of the president, the APC, for one, is a signatory to the peace accord. Two, the APC has been doing everything from 2015 to date to bring about reforms that will bring sanity and fight violence in whatever guise. The APC is a party that is for progress. It's not a party that is going to support or take side with violence from wherever it came from. The reason why I mentioned the PDP is because the PDP is actually the one that flagged off this issue of violence long before it happened. In Katsina, the hometown of the home state of the president, a similar scenario played out a few days before he went to Kano. And the gubernatorial candidate of the PDP in the state, Ladot Amarke, was recorded on tape threatening the divisional police officer, a police officer, that they will unleash more violence. In fact, he threatened that if he continues sending people to disperse crowds that are protesting and stoning the president, he is going to ensure that he is dealt with. It's on tape. And it has circulated widely in the social media. I hope the police or whoever is going to investigate what happened in Katsina will have a listen at that tape and let the person that perpetrated that act be brought to book. Shortly after the president was in Kano, and similar scenario played out. Now, by tradition, Kano is a politically polished society. It is not the laboratory where you try and test the will of the people in the reverse. No. People always have a way of expressing their views. Even if they are unhappy or they are dissatisfied with what is happening, they will not be so rude and disrespectful as to stone their leaders. There have been protests in Kano, yes, over the years, historically. Way back in 1953, there was a protest. In 1980, there was a protest. Thereafter, there were protests. But they were not protests that were targeted at leaders, and they were attacked in such a manner. And when you look at the way the attack was conveyed or spread on the social media, you can see the premeditation. In fact, I have seen caricature pictures of helicopter attacked. That is not the helicopter that conveyed the president. In fact, one picture showed the helicopter with broken windscreen. How can people have the audacity to attack the helicopter of a president? It's not like Kekena Pek that you park by the roadside. You cannot get anywhere near the presidential helicopter. Talk less of hitting it and breaking the windscreen. These are Photoshop pictures that were put to cause confusion and to create a division within the society. I am mentioning PDP because PDP was the first to cry, and it was the one that was even consoling the APC. Is the one that is crying on behalf of the APC. Let the APC, let the presidential party talk about what happened. The president has the support of Kano. In fact, Kano is the strongest base of President Muhammadu Buhari. In 2019, he had nearly 1.5 million votes, as against the less than 400,000 votes that Atiku Abubakar got. So you cannot vitiate that by assembling or renting a crowd of 20 people and giving them stones to boo and cry. 1.5 million people against 200 or 300 people cannot. And believe you me, if APC were to do a show of force tomorrow in Kano, you will see that the popularity of the party is higher than even what it used to be.
Well, allow me to, excuse me, please allow me to interrupt you for the purpose of time. And let me direct the question to Ndi Kato very briefly. Unfortunately, it seems like social media and technology and the internet are constantly the scapegoats for bad behavior. We also know that brazen attacks like this, well, not on this scale, but this isn't the first time President Buhari's convoy has been attacked in one form or another. We know back in July or June of this year, it was the same thing in Abuja. Just like we've been talking about, the state of the nation is quite dire. People cannot pull out money. There's no cash. Inflation. You know, there's myriads of things to make Nigerians hot under the collar. What would you say going into the election last few days, especially February? What are your concerns? What should we be aware of, especially the political parties who now see that one side is being blamed against another, and when they have no real hands in it? What would you advise as to the way forward?
I think that we need to get back to sticking to politics and the issues surrounding this election. And that, you know, a lot of times, you know, when we see politicians talking on TV especially, they leave the issues and go into personal ad hominems. And right now, this is possibly one of the toughest periods Nigeria has ever faced. For my generation, this could be the toughest. For Generation Z too, this could be the toughest thing they have ever experienced or seen. Just coming upstairs into Arise TV, I could see people downstairs in the hotel lobby lining up in several ATM points looking for money. Like, I mean, this is their own cash. They can't even access it. The fuel queues are so terrible. I mean, Edo State, the other day, people had started protesting. Unfortunately, you know, these protests will be met by more violence by state actors, and people will not be able to make a way forward. But it's a certain level of hardship, inflation, food stuff in the market, everything. These are the issues that are plaguing this election. These are the issues we are facing going forward. And I hope that, you know, we stick to these issues and we continue to talk to them, because these are the most important issues. As a Nigerian, I am affected. This is really the worst time I have had, as I've said earlier on. And I don't know how we would be talking about other things instead of these. We need to come back to these issues. These are what Nigerians are voting on. It's a referendum at this point, this election, because, you know, looking at this level of hardship that we have not faced, I don't know what else we'll be able to use to campaign on. I honestly don't know. Nigerians are facing the toughest time of their lives, and we need to get back to these issues, get back to talking about these issues. It's disappointing to see the president, and this is coming back to him, you know, using another country as example to say, oh, neighboring countries, some people just eat once a day. It's so flippant, and to just dismiss the suffering of Nigerians like that is painful. I do hope that going to the polls, Nigerians will understand, and I can see that on a very large scale, a lot of Nigerians groaning under the pain of this, that we would divert from these theatrics, would leave, you know, the left and centers, be the left and right of these theatrics that the political parties are doing, and focus on the issues on ground. And these issues are very dire. We're on the brink right now. I think that is what we should face. I hope that this conversation would also, you know, really branch into what happened in Edo State, that look, in parts of Nigeria, Nigerians are beginning to say, look, we can't even wait for an election to come. We want to protest. We are tired. That is how bad things are right now.
Well, it's actually very sad indeed, and we actually hope that we'll get more information about exactly what happened in Kano State and even the attacks on other presidential candidates. Well, Mr. Bala Yusuf Ibrahim, Director of Publicity APC, and Kato, spokesperson of the Labour Party presidential campaign, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.